Hello? Okay, I've got a link open somewhere. Been having terrible internet trouble, I think. I don't know, it just seems very weird. Okay, we're going to try this again. I don't know who I am streaming to, if anybody. Studio. Okay, live stream. Okay, that looks like a live stream. I don't know if we're on the same one or not. Let's see how it works here. Okay, we see you, Dave. Very good. Okay, let's hope that lasts for a little while. Anyway, welcome to everyone. FTA'd off. Okay, I don't know what's happening. We've been having trouble with the internet today. We live out about 20 miles south of town, and there is an internet link that hits Waterdog, which is, I think, 15 miles that way, to our roof. Our roof is the only roof that can see Waterdog. So we spread out to all the neighbors and up to Log Hill. And then from our neighbors here, we go down into the valley below us. So it's quite a jury-rigged connection down there. Anyway, I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with a nice Thursday evening live stream where we can sit back, relax, talk a little bit about what's going on. My assistant came back to work yesterday, so you will notice that there's a new video up yesterday. There's none today because we're doing the live stream. And then we have videos up for a week out. And then we're going to use this time coming up to get caught up on something. Somebody suggested I do a video showing a little bit more about the airplane, a little bit more of a detailed tour. But I want to talk about that airplane. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Things are not going well. So let's see, who all do we have? Let's see, Spike S came in with the first hello, and K9 GCP said you're back on. I've been on and off, I guess, as I'm trying to get. I've got green lights now, so it says that things are working okay. Let me see if I've got my screen view. Got the screen view now. That's interesting, because that is supposed to be, if it's the correct screen view, just this much right here. Interesting window capture. Chrome exit channel dashboard. Let's try. Oh, if I do that, I'll lose this. I'm going to go over here to Studio. There, okay. So that does work. Okay, very good. Hallelujah, we're working 20 minutes after it was supposed to work. Well, thank you, all of you faithful who have stayed with us during this period of confusion getting the connections to work and so on. So, Optical Man Jeff says coming in fine in South Dakota. Guy Skier says greetings part 2. James KF5 OEB says looking good and sounding good. William Meyer KA8GIM, hello Dave. Bob Taylor, hello again from WB6TIS. Had to bring you up in Chrome. Tim Backus, hi there. This is from Tim WB7ORB in Tucson, Arizona. Might be a bit warm down there. We've had some rain here today. We've been having quite a bit of drought, and then the last week we've been getting some rainy weather. And I went into town today and had to have the windshield wiper turned up all the way because it was raining so hard. You start worrying a little bit about hydroplaning when it's raining that hard. So everybody slows down a little bit. Okay. So sounding good. Don DeGidio, take 2 days. Let's see. Ron Slynn, good evening. William Myers, can hear you. OG, you see FT8 off. Well, I don't have FT8 on. Okay, well, good. Oh, there's lots of comments here. Okay, good. Hello from Chandler, Arizona. Working toward my technician exam. Well, Ramson, good luck to you, and I hope things worked out well for you. On an antenna tuner, when do you use the jumper wire that is on the back? When using a long wire or coax? Neither. It's right here. This is the back of a typical antenna tuner. Now, if you use the balanced line right here, these two, you have to put a jumper from this one down to this one, okay? Jumper from there up to there, and then these two are your balanced line. If you're just going to do a long wire, you connect it just to there, okay? This is for the ground connection, your normal station ground, okay? And then the wire here is for a long wire, a random length wire, and then a jumper from there up to there, and then these two are your ladder line. Okay, hope that helps. Can you make a video on the new RF requirements? I will. I have to understand them first myself. I understand there's been some stuff written about it. I will look at that and I will put together a video on that. Attempted making an Ed Fong J-pole roll-up 450 ohm window line and never got below infinity SWR. Okay, so something is not connected. Tried tuning the length and bottom 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 to 2 inches to 1 inch didn't help. Cut topside down, nothing. Something's not connected right because that antenna should work just fine. The fact that you've got an infinity SWR, either something is shorted or open on the thing. Many people heard today working the RAC Canada contest, and happy July 4th. Thank you. Many people have asked if there is a July 4th in Canada. The answer is yes. There's also a July 3rd and a July 5th. Let's see. Kenny Kelbaugh. Hi, Dave from KB3ONN. And watched your video on it. And we'll make attempt number 2 this weekend. That must be from James. Yes, on that. Keep trying with that. Okay, oh, we're back. Yes, finally back. Hung the 30-meter half square again yesterday. What is the height? Radiant vertical tails just do not touch the ground. High as I can get it. Horizontal half-wave part is up about 20 feet, 5 feet. Well, I mean, obviously height would help, but if you don't have the height, go ahead and just hang them, insulate them from the ground, and see how well it works. Ranger Smith, WW4 Triple L in Tennessee is here. Walter J. From near Pensacola, N8 ATF. The Smoking Ape. Howdy, Smoking Ape. Spike S ordered one of those from Ed, waiting on it to come in the mail. I didn't get the roll-up one, though. I got the DBJ1 that was only $40. Okay. And let's see. Likely order an Ed Fong. Let's see. Can I use NVIS on 10 meter FM? Probably not. Your signal's just going to go up and through the internet, or through the ionosphere and out into outer space. How reliable would that be for regional comm? Not so good. You want to go with what is called skywave on 10 meter FM. It's not ground wave. It can be vertical or it can be horizontal. If you're going to do FM, 10 meter FM, then you're going to want vertical. Okay, now you're going to be doing skywave, meaning that you have to, taking into account the radio horizon, which is 4/3 the optical horizon on the Earth. In other words, the signal does bend a bit as it goes around the Earth. You're going to want to probably be within 100 miles of whoever it is you are communicating with. Just want to, let's see, isn't today Canada Day? Could be. I don't know. I'm afraid I don't. Sorry. Field Day was this past weekend. I hope many of you had a chance to go out and have fun with Field Day. A lot of Canadians participate in Field Day. How is the new ham from KF0GBE from Iowa, named Justin? Country Strong and Free just got his call around 3 o'clock today. Good deal. That's exciting. Now get on the air. Let's see. Congratulations. Passed my extra with a lot of help from your videos. Thanks, Dave. From Gay2JAX. Okay, Smoking Ape. Have you done any of the 13 colonies? I haven't done that contest yet. I've done a little bit of it. I did 1 or 2 stations in there. Okay. Good morning from Oscar Yankee 1 Romeo. All well in the Faroe Islands. Summer is here. Yes, it is. Although we have, let's see, it's 77 outside right now. And a little bit humid, about 39%, because of the rain we've had. And good morning from Oscar Yankee 1 Romeo. Today is Canada Day. Grats, countrymen, good evening. What is the greatest amount of transmission power I have? I have 500 watts. It's only about an S unit. Gives me an extra S unit. It is handy, though, sometimes when an S unit matters, trying to break a pile up or something like that. Hello! Hit 84 today. Fishing was brutal. Yeah, they've been having some terrible heat up in the upper northwest where it never gets hot. It's been getting hot, and they're running short on water. We here got a few good, solid storms. Let's see what the rain today. Rain. That's the monthly rain. Oh, it's July. We've had an inch of rain the whole year. It's July 1st, so all the stuff from yesterday was wiped out. Today it says 0 inches. We got more than that when I was in town. That's the thing about out here. In fact, I was very surprised one time. I was in the Washington, D.C. area and had to drive up to Pennsylvania. And it rained the whole way. Just a steady, constant rain. I had never seen such a thing. Out here where I grew up, rain came down in buckets and then it moved on. and not from here. Okay, 95 here in Spokane. Oh my goodness, it's got to be brutal. 109 here, the shores of the South Puget Sound. We were cooking. What can we do to help with global warming? I don't know. Use solar panels for your station. We had a few sort of sea along. Whenever you are on board, could you look at the MFJ 1796 antenna and see if you could give me any tips to improve it? I'd love to make 80 meters work on it. 1796, is that the, I think that might be their mag mount. Let's take a look at MFJ. Okay, now it's the MFJ. MFJ 1796. MFJ. MFJ. Oh. Well, it's not designed to work on 80. This one right here, the W, is the workband version. Starts at 60, but does not go to 80. This is an interesting antenna shape, as you can see right here. It's got lots of weird reactive elements on it, okay? And that allows you to get a lot of different bands, even though it's only 12 feet high. Okay, so I've never used one. I've always thought they look just a little bit weird, but they do work. I mean, there's nothing about them to make them not work. But how to get 80 out of that, I have no idea, I'm afraid. Sorry, I don't. Let's go back to normal view. Okay. W8AGI says hi. KO4GJO from North Carolina. Sounds like your thermometer needs calibration. The thermometer works fine. It's just that it's a new system. It's outside. It's a Davis Vantage View system, and I replaced my old one. And I discovered that I thought this new one was Wi-Fi or something. It's not. It's the same thing they had before. I could have left the old one up and just got a new console for it because the console went bad. Solar panels derate in heavy heat. Yes, they do. Dave, wish I had your 500 watts working the 13 colonies. Yes. Trayfort says, bye, Dave, because he has to take off. John Butt NJ5Z. Roger McKinn says, humidity isn't bad. It isn't bad if it's outside and I'm inside. I did my 4 years in the Air Force in the South. First training in Biloxi, Mississippi, and then lived for 3+ years in Tampa, Florida, before we sold out of Tampa and went back to California. Oh man, it's you put your hand on the table like this and can't get it up because it's sticking so hard. I had a job offer down there as I was getting out of the service to work for Track Microwave in a technical position. I would have been quite fascinated with that. And my then wife was working for Westinghouse on the Clinch River Breeder Reactor project. And she did something pretty innovative for them to help them solve the problem of the blocked tube It really was very innovative. But we almost stayed, but then opted to go back to California. So we know what the IF frequency is for J-Star. $30 a foot. What is that? What did I do for field day? Nothing. I've not been feeling well, so I did not do anything with it. JT Nyman loves the videos. Yeah, I lost a few days there on videos because my assistant was on vacation with his family for a week and a half. So he came back yesterday. I had all the files and everything for the videos, and he put them together. He's got us nearly a week ahead now. So we'll have videos every day for sure through around next Friday. So next week I'll put some more together. We're going up tomorrow to change the oil on the airplane and stuff. I guess I can tell you my sad airplane story now. I had a sort of a come to Jesus talk with my instructor at my initiation. And I said basically, okay, I've got over 100 hours. When am I going to solo? Do you have an estimate based on your knowledge of having dealt with many students before when I'm going to solo? It was hem and haw, and I don't know. Well, gee, we can't tell. I says, okay, so you're telling me I'm not going to solo. That's what you're telling me. And I don't know. I guess I was very polite, but still assertive on this. And what it came down to was this. She says, you forget things. You forget to put the flaps on or take the flaps off. And what's more important is sometimes you don't notice, she said, when the aircraft is getting into a dangerous condition, like coming in for landing and losing too much speed. And I said, well, you're correct. And, you know, I do forget. I don't remember things. I am, after all, 70, almost 70. I'll be 70 later this month. So I said, well, let's just, since it's clear I'm not going to get past this, because I've been trying for months to get past this problem. Tried all kinds of things, handy checklists on knee boards and stuff like this, and I still forget. So why don't we cut our losses and just draw a line under this right now. No more training, and I'll sell the aircraft and we'll be done with it. So that is the plan that I am on now. I have to tell you that I am heartbroken. I really want to fly. But characteristics that I know I have, like for example, when I come in here to record a video, the light on the Lumix, this Lumix, needs to blink red while it's recording. This one up here, which is a Panasonic, the light needs to blink red when it's recording. On the audio, if it's blinking red, it's not recording. You have to push it again until it's steady red, and then it's recording. And I can't tell you how many times I've messed that up and how much video I've lost because I don't get all the buttons right. And if that's the case, then I shouldn't fly. The problem is that, I mean, it is a bucket list item. It's something I have really, really wanted to do. But I've had 4 different flight instructors for a variety of reasons. And nobody has been able to divine what it will take to get me past that. So there's no point in throwing good money after bad. So I'm going to see if I can get out of the aircraft what I put into it, which I think I can. Prices have gone up quite a bit. So if anybody wants a Rand's S6ES, I know of one for sale. I'm just very, very sad about the whole thing. But one of those things, I'm still quite happy about ham radio. That's easy to practice. The highest I get off the ground is to hold the ladder while somebody else goes on the roof. We'll make it. The video on the W3 EDP antenna. I don't know anything about that antenna. I'm sorry, I'm not sure that I got the message. I have received far more questions than I can answer, so I'm trying to get through some of them, even though I do about, let's see, four weeks, let's see, that'd be 28, about 28 videos a month. I'm still not getting through. I get more than one question a day. I have a separate folder here for the questions that come in to the Ask Dave No hyphen at arrl.org. Come to me. Oddly enough, there aren't that many questions that have been coming in. And I have a huge number. Let's just check and see what we got here. 646 questions sitting in hamradioanswers@gmail.com. So, oops, did I just cut myself off? I may have. Oh, it looks like it's still going. Okay, good. Let's see. You say, you sure another teacher might do better for teaching flying? I don't know. I've had 4. Don't give up. This is the thing, you know. This is a very experienced flight instructor, and she's very sharp. She is was a senior engineering manager at HP, and her degree is the same as mine, electrical engineering. So we're able to communicate very well. But somehow, you know, I don't know, I'm just very frustrated with it. There's nothing, you know, I've had friends tell me, well, you just you put in an extra notch of flaps every time you make a turn going around the pattern. I say, that is so easily said and so hard done. I just can't get it through my stupid head. I do need to know my limitations, yes. Good morning from India, VU2KOC. Om Prakash. Oh, good grief, James. My airplane is so simple now. There's nothing complex about it. There's not even a mixture control on it. That's all automatic. It's tricycle landing gear, non-retractable. Airplane just runs. You turn it on and it runs. There's nothing special about mixture or anything like that to worry about. It's all automatic. The ailerons, the flaps, everything is just as simple as can be. And, oh well, we'll see. James KI5OEB, I'm a CFI and have thoughts on your situation. Do share. Do share. Okay. Yes, please do share. Well, you know, my mind, being bipolar, I think differently from the way other people think. And usually that's actually a good thing because I see things nobody else sees. And IBM really liked that because I worked a lot in proposals and stuff like that. I reviewed a lot of proposals. I reviewed a lot of government documents asking for proposals. And I could read through those and pick out what it was the customer really wanted and what they weren't really interested in, and make sure that these things all got into proposals. There was one where they had 3 reviews, one just a couple days before they submitted the proposal, and I said, each time you guys are missing the boat. This is not a hardware procurement. This is a study, what they call an enterprise architecture. And I kept saying that and finally just jumped up and down on the last day and says, you're misreading the RFP. And so they did it. They made the change and won the contract. And it was a huge contract. It was for the Department of Defense Comptroller's Office. And they had too many systems and were trying to make sense out of them. And they had an enterprise. If those of you who are into that sort of thing, it was they needed an enterprise architecture, which means an examination of the old, an examination of the new, and then a path to get there. How you get from one to the next. And it was better. Yes, I may try another teacher. James, I'd like to hear from you. Okay, sorry about your aviation experience. Landed my Cessna for a year without flaps. This airplane will land without flaps. In fact, I think it lands better with just one set of flaps. But let's see, what type of aircraft do I have? No, I don't have a Cessna 172. It's sort of like the Cessna 172 is the Ford F-150 of the aviation world. It's a little 4-seat aircraft. It's extremely common. A very forgiving aircraft. Mine is a RANS S6ES. Its design is about 20 years old. This particular specimen is about 13 or 14 years old, and seems to be in very good shape. I mean, it's not the aircraft that's causing the problems. Get a pilot partner. Says 10 and 15 meters was open well for field day. I know our club tried that, and I have the files. I'm the one that's supposed to put together the entry. So I'll take a look and see how we did on that. So do you new ham operator in 30 plus years of flying? Light sport aircraft are actually harder to fly, being so light and touchy. I don't know, this doesn't seem like a touchy aircraft. It's the way we pilots have checklists. Oh yeah, I've got all the checklists too. Hi from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Thanks for all your work. Matias Granillo. The N tilde, Enya, Grafino. I'm trying. My Spanish is terrible. Oh, wow, dealing with the brain fog thing that's coming now with the COVID. Yeah. Well, yeah, I personally think I could solo just fine, but my evaluation doesn't matter. The flight instructor has to think that that's so. Yeah. IBM always wants to make it a hardware deal. Yes, that is true. This one in particular was not a hardware deal. We got through it. We made some money on it. So, okay. I'll send you an email, Dave. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Trying to think what you can send it to. Here's something that I will get, because like I said, I'm not getting very many of. Send it to Ask Dave, no hyphen, just Ask Dave, ASKDAVE, at ARRL.org, not .net, .org, and it'll come to me. And I don't get so many of those, so I won't get lost in the 600 I've got on the other things here. Just added Iceland and Kenya. Wow, two very different places. Iceland's having a very interesting volcano where it's just a hole in the ground that's burping lava, and lots of it. And the problem is it's going to get all the way to the sea. And that means it's going to cut the road that rings around Iceland and cut all the communications cables that are under it. It's so hot it'll melt the glass. And they're very concerned about that. They're trying to shape and shift where the lava flows. And it's just incessant. It's like there was an old movie in the 60s called The Blob. And every time I see pictures of this, I think of The Blob. The blob just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, feeding on whatever it is that it can get hold of. And, of course, it's a horror movie. And the blob just keeps moving and moving, and nobody can stop it. So I won't spoil it for you. You might be able to find it on Netflix for free. Okay. Let's see. Find another approach. Fly complex aircraft. Yeah. Well, this is definitely not a complex aircraft. It's very simple. I gotta try something like that. Russia's been answering my CQs here in New York in 20 meters at 11 p.m. at night. Wow, that reminds me back when the solar cycle was up pretty high. 100 hours flying at how much per hour? Well, each flight attendant charged a different amount. Let's say 60. So that's $6,000 in flying. Burping lava. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's like a bubbling pot that keeps, every so often it runs over. And it runs over a lot, and lava splashes everywhere, and then it all cools down. Bubble, 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 and then splat all over everywhere. Like the idea of a buddy pilot. I can land fine. Very wise, mature, and sad decision, yes. And yeah. Let's see, we've got our first chat revenue today from Waldorf Electron Company. Says, hello again, Dave. When using the MFJ 1778 G5RV, do I really need a one-to-one choke balance? No, you don't, but you could use one there because it is a definite unbalanced to balanced point in the line. What you can do is just coil up some coax. Yeah, just coil up some coax, about 8 or 9 turns. It takes about 25 feet of coax to do this. And at more than $1 a foot, you're talking $25 or $30 worth of coax. So it's getting iffy whether you want to build that just with the coax or get a commercial balun for that. It's 1-to-1. Anticipate the nose to drop and the power is reduced in the flare. Yes. Yes. Well, that's the whole idea, is you come in level, and as you start to sink, you pull the stick back so that the nose tries to go up but can't. So that brings the tail down and the rear wheels strike first. So that's what you're trying to do there. Spike, I did that once when I was in college, broke my leg in 3 places, and did not impress the girl. That's terrible. A pilot with 1,000 hours is dangerous because the newness is worn off. Maybe at 2,000. Yeah, JFK Jr. had that problem too, is his chutzpah. The same is true in motorcycles. They say that the most dangerous time is from 6 months to about 18 months. Because at 6 months, you think you know how to ride the motorcycle. At 18 months, you do. And that period in time is when there's a lot of accidents. Okay. Person I really like is, and I don't want you to be premature silent key. Yeah, my wife keeps saying that too. Coax Ballon idea, yeah. William Myers, KAAGIM, says, sends $25 and says thanks. Halicrafters Rehab, spot on. William Myers, the blows. She didn't ever give you a pity play? Oh, dear. Harry Rundle, get a copy of Flight Sim 2020 and practice to help develop muscle memory. I have all the stuff here for Flight Sim. It's the one before when the new Microsoft thing came out. I've got the yoke, I've got the pedals, and I've got a throttle quadrant. And there were 2 versions. The Lockheed version I could never figure out how to fly. And then this other one is Prepare 3D, version 5. I'd like to get them, but what I've discovered with flight simulators is it's sort of like having a pile of metal and cloth delivered to your yard and said, there, make an airplane. And it's like, really? I can't figure out what to do or how to do it. And there doesn't seem to be anything out there that will say, go from, do this first, this first, this first, these settings, and so on, if you want a simple aircraft and so on. Let's see, William Myers, KAAGIM, sent $25, says, thanks, Dave. Okay, if you ain't riding scared, you're going to get killed. Oh, we had one little frightful incident. The aircraft bounced on landing, and then on the second bounce, it took a weird turn off over the weeds next to the airport, where the weeds are quite thick there, and find myself flying at weed height. And I totally freaked out my instructor. I had it in my mind that no matter what happened, I was going to keep those wings level, because I've heard too many times, if you're crashing, fly through the crash. Don't just give up. Fly through the crash. And so I flew the thing, and all I could see was a little spot in front of me where I could look out the front. And what I needed to do, and did not do, but my instructor did, was lower the flaps a couple notches, okay, and then fly up and out. And that's what we did. And so she was frozen for a moment, but in her frozenness, I got us through by keeping the wings absolutely level. They didn't hit the ground or anything. We're absolutely level. We got back to the airport and checked it out. There were no grass marks, no stuff stuck in the wheels, nothing. So we never did touch the weeds. We flew above them the whole time. Wow. This is from Jason DeCarlo, $20 toward one more flight lesson. If it's that important to you, don't give up. Good luck and best wishes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. John Denver, there is still a big conspiracy theory about that. He flew out to the west into the sunset over the Pacific Ocean and ran out of fuel. There is no indication that he did it deliberately or accidentally. There is one school of thought which makes sense to me, and that is he flew west till he ran out of fuel, and that was how he committed suicide. The other is he just went flying and ran out of fuel. As experienced a pilot as John was, we'll never know. I don't think the NTSB came to any conclusion on that. This was a perfectly good aircraft that flew west. He just kept flying west, out over the ocean until he ran out of fuel and down in. Do you have a recommendation on water source toroids for building chokes, transformers, and balance? Try DX Engineering. Yeah. Dave, you should read ahead a bit before you read out loud. Well, that's true, but William Myers, KAGIM. It's there, JT6188. Good evening from K something FFZ, where it's 1845 and 106. Whew! This is from Arnie Carlson. $5 to the channel funds. Sorry about your aviation experience. Getting old is a drag. What do you think about the new Lieutenant Dude vertical 10-meter vertical antenna, 20 to 10 meters? That is a new one on me. Send me a link on that so I can see what's happening. Yeah, Felipe Lewis porpoising. Yeah, that's what we were doing. Maybe your plane is too simple. Yeah. Maybe it only takes off and it doesn't land. I don't know. Turkish lower flaps among the deep state weeds. Yeah. Nothing muddy seems great. Yeah. Let's see. David Alagi, sorry, but I have to leave. Watch the rest of the stream later. Thank you, William Myers, for KA8GIM for stopping by. Appreciate it very much. Experimental airplanes are always a risk. Needless to float. That does work fine. Yeah, John Denver was the subject above, but we tend to wander. Love the Blob. That was Steve McQueen's first big movie. It's actually interesting enough that you still have to pay for it. Oh, okay. Oh, and KF5MIT got his extra this week. Very good. Oh, KFFZ equals Falcon Field in Mesa, Arizona. Yeah, I first got the airplane in Glendale, Arizona, and then immediately started taking some lessons from a guy who had ridden in that airplane quite a bit before. We were at Buckeye in Arizona, and he was an interesting fellow. He would let me do everything except land. He said it was needed too much finesse for me. Always thought that was interesting because he'd have me set up the landing, and then he'd make it, and then I'd roll out. I always thought that was odd. Okay, love the blob. Yeah, I scared the crap out of me. I was a preteen or something by then. Let's see, Falcon Field. Is there a supplier that you can get the old chokes that are used in old power supplies? Yes, there is. Oops. Let me look. There is a marvelous old magazine called Electric Radio. And in the back, there's usually an advertisement. I don't know if these guys have gone out of business or what. They may have. Yeah, shoot, I don't see them in here. Well, get hold of Electric Radio. If you are a subscriber, you can put one free classified ad per month. And this is where I got that Helicrafters S20R that's up behind me. I put an ad in here said wanted S20R and got one. So this is a great place to find old chokes and stuff like that. Note the shipping costs will be enormous. Those things are 20, 30 pounds a piece. It's almost better to go pick it up. If I need a 49-to-1 balun for a short sort of end-fed antenna for a wood boat, would I wind my own or buy one? Well, you can buy one. It's a lot easier. But you can make them. The thing is that called TX Engineering, lots of different people make cores for the toroidal cores. The problem with them is that no two companies build them alike, and they don't use this as any sort of a standard marking technique. So you don't know what you've got. Now, winding the thing yourself is super easy. It's just like 2 or 4 winds for the primary and 7 or 14 for the secondary. So that's a 1 to 7 winding, but remember that for impedance we square the number. So 7 squared is 49. It gives you 49 to 1 impedance, which is a good feed for an end-fed dipole. And yes, end-fed dipoles are dipoles. Takeoffs are optional, landings are mandatory, yes. Flying west, yes, aka silent key. And if you look in the books, I think I may have here somewhere my latest notes in the kitchen. It's the latest book from the Experimental Aircraft Association. It has a page called Gone West. And it's the equivalent of the silent key page in QST. Palomar is expensive. I get my toroids from Mouser. How much, James? Okay, Waldorf Electron. And salvage just about anything. Yes, true. Oh, there's a 1988 remake of The Blob. Oh, my goodness. 1958 is the original. That's the one I remember. Dave, I have the same radio setup as is on the cover of this month's Electric Radio. Cool. Private community, what does that mean? Test production has started as documented. I don't understand. Electric Radio, never heard of it. The website is ERMAG.com. ERMAG. Well, it's buried on this page. But electric radio is ERMAG.com. Okay, it's not cheap because it's a little tiny publication. But I will tell you that this is the one amateur radio magazine I read from cover to cover. Optical Man Jeff sends $10 into channel funds and says, Dave, thanks for all the information. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Radio News and Radio Craft. Okay. Another couple good magazines. I found trying to understand the mix is hard. You're asking me something I don't know. I'd have to go figure that out. I suppose I could find a toroid company and call and see if I can interview somebody there. And do a video that way about the different types of cores, what you would use them for. One thing you have to be careful of is core heating. They will heat up. Magnetic cores do, believe it or not, they do saturate. You can get to a point where you're pumping more current into the core, which creates the magnetic field. It gets to a point where you can't do it anymore. And then that just turns the core to heat. And you can actually blow up a core that way. You don't want to do that because that just really sends your reactances all over everywhere. It's a weird phenomenon that there is something in nature in a reactance that maxes out, that you can't go beyond it. There are some systems, old systems, that use that feature of core saturation. Because if it saturates, that means there's a sudden change in the reactive characteristics, and you can do something with that if you want to. 40-inch displacement style, 32 feet from foremast to the aftermast. Wires up 15 feet from the water line. Sounds good to me. Yeah, and if you've got something that is metal that goes into the water, that could be a great ground. That flask is full of vodka. I'm a good Mormon, boy. This is water. James KI5 OEB puts $2 into the channel funds and says, "You are the best. Thanks for the general study help." Well, you're certainly welcome. John Mills, why is the Fahrenheit temperature scale still used in the USA? Inertia. Okay? Inertia. Just plain inertia. We Brits dropped that years ago, and weather temps are now in degrees Celsius, although I have heard that when it gets really hot, like close to 100, somebody will say it's like 100, because that sounds more impressive than 33 or whatever it is. But dropped using feet and inches in the 1970s. To change a country to metric, you need a populace that can understand the change. You need to recognize that there are many things in the United States that are based on the idea of feet and inches. For example, that door right there behind me is, I believe, a 28-inch door. They don't make 28-inch doors in metric countries. They make something that's 1 meter or 0.95 meters or some standard thing that's easy. For example, in the United States, we would call this, well, let's see, it's a 2-liter bottle. No, it's a 1-liter bottle. But it's made to metric, 1 meter or 1 liter bottle of water, not 1 quart. A lot of bottles are 1 quart. So it's not just a matter of changing the numbers. It's a matter of, sizing things in units that are easy to use. You'd say you want a 1 meter door. Here you'd say you want a 3-foot door, but the 3-foot door is actually narrower than a 1 meter door. So that's been a real problem. But you need a people that are willing to make the transition, and a government that's got the guts to stick with it till it's done. Our entire highway system, all the signs on it say 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles, whatever. They used to do it to the nearest tenth of a mile, but people don't think in terms of tenths. So they went to halves, 1.5, so on. They finally gave up on that. It's now just miles. It's 1 mile. If it's a half mile, they just say it's 1 mile. And so it is political. And I don't know why. If you're a mechanic at all, you go buy a tool set at Harbor Freight Tools. It's got both metric and imperial. They're not American units. We didn't invent them. They're the imperial units. Some political people here call them freedom units. I don't get that at all. Metric is a lot easier to use. But you got to have 2 sets of tools. Of course, if you're in Britain, you have to have 3 sets. You need a Whitworth set. Let's see. Felipe Lewis includes $50 for channel funds. I think you can be a great pilot based on what you seem to know with engineering, radio learning. Most importantly, if you can ride a motorcycle and have good spatial capabilities, you can do it. Perhaps some rest time. I know how you can do it, no doubt. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've not done anything specific yet to sell the radio. I just told my flight instructor, let's just put things on a 2-week hold, and we'll reevaluate in a couple weeks. One of the problems is on the days I do fly, it takes much of the day because I've got an hour ride up to the airport and an hour ride back, and all the hoofra at the airport, because you don't fly as soon as you get there. You've got to pull the airport out of the hangar, get it faced in the right direction, pre-flight it, as if your life depended on it, because it does. And then there are a couple of places where I look inside as well as just look at the outside. And then you have your chat with your instructor what you're going to do. And you load up, start it, get it warmed up, get it down closer to the runway, do a run up where you're checking things with the engine at higher RPM. And then you go out on the runway and take off. Now that whole thing, from beginning to end, can be 45 minutes or even longer. So, and then when you get done, you've got to fuel the aircraft. I keep my tanks full. There's only 9 gallons. No, 18 gallons. 18 gallons of fuel. So I keep it pretty full. We can usually get 2 lessons out of that and still have plenty of fuel left. So, okay. Pint of beer sounds more delicious than 500 milliliters. I know, see? There, that's culture for you that doesn't let the change happen. Navigation is still based on knots, although not in my airplane. It's in miles per hour. Don't ask me why. It's in miles per hour. Probably because the aircraft was made in Hays, Kansas. But you listen to the ATIS forecast, and the winds are given in knots. So anyway, navigation is still based on a sense as to where you are ultimately. I learned a long time ago, do not trust my physical feelings as to how the aircraft is oriented. You have an instrument and it's right in front of you. It's the artificial horizon. And if you want to know your aircraft's orientation, trust it, not your feelings. Whitworth and British standards, yes. When I used to work at the motorcycle shop and in high school, we had Norton Norton Commandos, and Norton Atlas aircraft there, which needed the Whitworth. That was so much fun keeping all that track. I am metric, and we build metric chemical plants in the U.S. Oh, yes, no problem. And all engineering teaching is done in metric. And that's the way I learned engineering, was metric. Pointed out to Josh Nash, the drives for all ratchets worldwide are 1/4 inch, 3/8, half, and 3/4, yes. Okay, Spike has 100K in tools. I don't. Yes, I agree with you, DJ. I really do. This freedom units is one of the most obnoxious. There are a bunch of... I have a great deal of concern about the future of the country. That we're pulling a same thing that went wrong in Germany. The right wing is creeping into standard politics. We've got one representative from Colorado, in fact, my representative from Colorado, who is into this QAnon theory, which is total hogwash. Well, you say, okay, 1, that's fine. You can't do anything wrong. Well, soon it'll be 2, and then it'll be 4, and then it'll be 10. And before you know it, they've got control. So I have a fear for the country. English pint is 568 milliliters or 20 ounces. It's not 500 milliliters. No, he's saying 500 milliliters because it's half a. This is right there, 1 liter. But if you come down just a little bit to there, that's 32 ounces. That's a pint. Pint? Quart. Bottom barrel. Okay. I'm getting frozen. Make so many repairs and improvements on the plane. Yes, I know. It's worth more now than when I bought it. I've put in the G5. I've got a new instrument here that I got that I haven't put in yet. It's a new turn and bank indicator. Joking Tone sounds the perfect name for an RPLC punk band doing only Jimmy Dore material as lyrics. Learned metric in statics. How many kilojards is that? I've always, the best one I've heard is that people who like to express velocity in furlongs per fortnight, you can do it. Okay. Let's see, how many kilojards? My motorcycles have all been Triumphs post-Lucas. Oh, we had to deal with Lucas on ours. Lucas, it was the worst. Lucas Electrics, they make the electric components for those old motorcycles, and they are forever failing. But you have a set of non-sparking beryllium copper tools. Yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff. Many kinds of stuff. Ray Nelson sold MPD 2 years ago and retired to a 70-acre farm. Oh, thank you for that information, Guy. I did not know that. He built quite a business there. I should try and get in touch with him. If you could learn in any scale, what would be personally optimal? Actual question. Well, I'd go with metric. Metric is based around factor of 10. Most of us have 10 fingers, and so it's easy to use the 10. Let's see. Is the right wing taking hold on the direct wing? Yeah, I think I'm going to not show that one. Half a gill, there you go. Dave needs to jump. Well, no, they didn't. You know, the thing about, I'm not going to talk about Hitler anymore. It's way off course for this. QAnon is radical and very tiny, not mainstream in any way, and not a threat to anything. It's that last phrase I don't agree with. We have, there's my congresswoman is a QAnon radical. My congresswoman sure doesn't represent me. Okay. I think everyone should skydive at least once before they die. In fact, they could do the two together. Actually, our airport is a skydiving airport. And actually, where they land, their landing zone, is right square in the middle of the pattern. Because we have a right pattern on runway 3, and go out, come back around, come down, and come into land, and you've gone around the skydiving area. And one time my instructor, without reminding me, or telling me she was going to do this, did an engine out from way up atop the pattern, straight across the airfield and down on the runway. Made it successfully, of course. The aircraft glides with like an 8-to-1 glide ratio, so it's really good. And she went right over the landing area. And I had a couple words with her about that. There fortunately weren't any skydivers in the air at the time, but she was flying right straight through the skydiver's landing zone. So anyway, Lucas, the Prince of Darkness, yes, they'll get you dark all the time. Lucas, that's why the Brits like warm beer. Set of metric screwdrivers, pliers, and crescent wrenches. Yes, you got okay. It's time for us to quit. Yep, Felipe. Yep. English like warm beer, not Brits. Somebody ask a ham radio question. Yeah. Okay. QAnon what? Well, yeah. I'll let you look that up. Capital PD. Everything is political. Everything is political. Skydiving after one dies would be pretty pointless unless it's for scattering one's ashes on the wind. Yes. Explain electron flow theory. You know, this is an interesting thing. Electrons actually only move about an inch an hour. Now, when you consider the size of an electron, that's blistering speed in terms of diameters per second. But about an inch per second. But if you feed a voltage down the line, it's the pulse moves at the speed of light in the medium. So if it's just a line, a wire, it's 0.95 the speed of light. And it's always fascinated me that the effect of electricity, the wavefront, can move so much faster than the actual carrier, which is the electron. There's a weird little fact for you, and we ought to conclude on that. Okay. 13 Grappler says, thanks for all you've done for the community. You've helped me immensely on my hemp journey. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And on that good note, we will conclude. And I'm going to say to all of you, thank you. Thank you so much for being involved with this. My new gig with the ARRL, writing that column every month. But like I said, you compare, okay, 3 or 4 questions per month on the league versus a video a day on the channel. The channel still does far, far more than the league piece of it. David K. puts $5 into channel funds. KO4RNT. Very good. How did metric distances make it into common use in radio? Wavelengths. The original stuff, it's hard to remember. The 1920s, the French were at the forefront of technology. A lot of airplane terms like fuselage, empennage, and so on are French terms that have made it into English for parts of the different airplane. And the lengths used were metric. Everything was metric. So that's how it kind of got in there. And in radio, people back then did things in wavelengths. And the wavelengths that were used were in meters. Because radio was a worldwide phenomenon being driven primarily by the British at first. Okay? And then the French right behind them. Hence, metric, 80-meter band. All that sort of thing like that. 500 kilohertz was the international distress frequency. And so, I mean, there were lots of things that did that were just nice for. Yeah, Marconi used metric. They all used metric. Okay. All right, SI units, yes. System International, or International System units. All right, we're going to say 73 on that. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next week. 73.